episode of Streets of Success with Frank Jalil. We got special guests.
My man, Big Joe.
Big Joe Gagne. Joe, how you doing today?
Good, man. Good.
Pleasure to have you here. You had to get some things rolling behind the scenes, but we're here now. So usually we start off with a little background of, who is Joe, where he came from, your upbringing from like as far as back as you can remember, childhood, until maybe like, right before we become young adults, maybe like early teenage years. How'd that look for you growing up? Where you from? Stuff like that.
So we're from Northeast Philly, but I don't know, man. I got like a twin brother, 2 half sisters, and we lived far northeast at first. You know what I mean? And we lived in an apartment and shit. But my dad was a roofer. My mom stayed home. So, but back in '87, my dad hit the lottery for like $650 grand.
Oh wow!
And we were poor. Like my dad, he was a roofer. You know what I mean? So when you're working a day's pay roofer, it ain't like you ain't making crazy money.
Yeah.
But back then, you didn't get like all your money in one lump sum. You would have to get, annuity every January. You get a check. But what happened was my dad's from Kensington, like Monmouth Street, and my grandparents lived at Roseville and Cambria forever. So we spent every weekend there. You know what I mean? And then we'd be up the Northeast, and my dad would borrow money off. Like he had a Italian dude in Jersey he would get money from, and then he had like some Irish dude in the neighborhood he would get money from. But it was like you borrow 100, you pay back 2. But then these dudes tried, like they wanted more than what they were supposed to get. So my dad took off on them.
Yeah.
And I lived in Longcrest, Somerdale, 5 Points, far northeast. We spent a little time in Kensington, like everywhere. You know what I mean? And so everywhere we went, me and my twin brother, new school, go to the basketball court, find out what's going on, you know what I mean? And but there was always drugs and alcohol in the home, you know what I mean? Like my parents, but they always held it down, you know what I mean? Like even still, they are still that way today, you know what I mean? Like they drink and smoke pot. Like my dad don't drink no more. He's like cancer survivor type thing. But that's just how it was. It was nothing abnormal to me, you know what I mean? It was all very normal, you know what I mean? Like
Well, looking back now, it was obviously abnormal, but growing up, it was the normal.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a matter of if I was going to drink and drug or any of that. It was like when, you know what I mean? And but I think that I started like everybody else. I think we were living like maybe Longcrest at the time, and we started drinking like back to track, and back then it was quarts. It wasn't even 40s. You had to get 32 ounces, and you had to send dude into the bar 4 times to get us 12 of them that we needed. You know what I mean? And But whatever, man, you know what I mean? It was like drinking and smoking pot, and it was all very, very normal, you know what I mean? Like there was nothing abnormal about that.
How were you in school? What was that like growing up? Like,
you know what, man? I was in LD, man. I'm gonna tell you. And I tried, man, because my old man didn't play that shit. Like, because, he was a roofer, and he never did no good in school, so he didn't play. He's like, yo, you got to take care of your teeth, and you got to go to school, you know what I mean? And, like, dude, I genuinely would try, you know what I mean? But I just couldn't deal with that shit in my head.
Was your twin brother better in school than you?
Nah.
Neither of you?
Nah, they had 2 different classes. One was LD, learning disability, and the other one was ES, emotional support. And he had, like, this big lady teacher. She used to take him to Nifty 50s and shit on Fridays. Like, I'd be wanting to go to Nifty 50s too. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know if he was touched or nothing, you know what I'm saying? But he was getting banana splits and chicken nuggets and shit. I would have went too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I would have let her do nothing to me for her.
Yeah. There wasn't multiple schools that you had to go through since you was
kindergarten to 5th grade, I went up by Franklin Mills to Fitzpatrick. Then we went to Franklin and Longcrest, and then from there I ended up in Carnell, like Devereaux and Somerdale. That's where we really kind of grew up, was like Somerdale, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And,
so every new neighborhood, you attended a new school?
Pretty much. Well, we went to, first 5 years was like kindergarten to 5th grade, went to Fitzpatrick, stayed there, and then, it was a couple new schools between like 6th and 8th. And then high school came, and I went to Fells for like 3 months, got chased out by a bunch of Puerto Rican kids, and then I ended up going to Del Val. So that's where the drug abuse and alcohol abuse really kicked off.
Del Val.
When we went to Del Val, so it was an alternative high school. Instead of going all 4 years, you only had to go 2. They literally had a smoke break. Like 9:15 every day, we get to go out for a smoke break.
In high school?
Yeah.
Oh,
you can't even buy cigarettes till you're 18.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, and then we were up the far northeast with all these Russian kids, and they had a whole another end of drugs and alcohol. They were on some ecstasy and club space and all that shit back in the day, and acid. I actually went with a bunch of Brydesburg kids too, you know what I mean? And you know, whatever, man, you know what I mean? It was like where it really kind of took off. Still in all though, this is when it was fun. This is when it was normal. You know, we're selling our nickel bags of weed, you know what I mean? You got the Crown Royal bag hanging between your jeans and shit. You're selling little nickel bags and shit. And like, it was all very fun. It was all very normal at this point. There was no way you could tell me I was going to end up where I ended up. You know what I mean?
Now, for a friend, so now was it hustling first when you got into the drug game, or was it just usage of the drug?
As much as I want to tell you I was Scarface,
Yeah.
I was not.
Yeah.
But we always middleman shit. And I was just telling somebody this the other day, like, so when you got a twin brother, I go through everything in life. First day of school, first girls, first fights, first everything. We go through everything together. We're the same guy. You know what I mean?
You guys look the same? Are you identical?
Yeah, identical. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we look exactly the same. You know what I mean? And so, you know, we both be hustling. He has a little person he was hustling for, but back then it wasn't no cell phones like that. It was beepers and house phone. So then we'd all have the same type people calling our house phone and shit. So then if he's not home, I intercept. You know what I mean? Yo, nah, yeah, he ain't here. Matter of fact, but come by. I'm good. You know what I mean? So then we would steal each other's customers and shit.
Yeah.
That would lead to a lot of fist fights in the house and all kind of bullshit.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Yeah, you know, because he got to do the but we're always middleman and shit is what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? Then we start working doctors and shit, but it's always middleman shit. It's never like we were never making no moves doing that shit. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. Then like after high school, my brother graduated when he was 15, believe it or not. You know what I mean? Because of the 2-year and one thing.
Yeah.
He graduated in like January, like 99 or something. I actually failed a grade in the school, believe it or not. And but when I was 16, I graduated, and you know, my dad had took me on the roof even before then. You know what I mean? Like cleaning up shingles and trying to show me how to roof and shit. But when I graduated is when I started serious roofing. I started on the kettle.
How old was this?
16.
You were 16. Okay.
So I started on the kettle when I was 16 with my dad, and you know, he would take me to work every day, and I can remember being out all night. I go to bed 3 a.m. He's kicking me like, you ain't gonna make me look like an asshole. Like, he didn't have his own company, but he ran a company for a guy. It might as well have been his because he called all the shots. You know what I mean? And he would take me to work, man. And now I'm making money so I can fuel this little drug addiction I got.
Oh,
going,
you had the
know?
addiction now.
Oh, so I'm taking
At 16.
I'm taking Xannies, I'm smoking, you know what I mean? All sociably acceptable shit. At this point, we're doing ecstasy and acid and Xanax.
On the
and
weekends, you're drinking and...
Yeah, every night pretty much, you know what I'm saying? But it's not, you know, some nights get crazier than others, you know what I mean?
Now, was there a specific drug of choice, or was just like, I feel like doing this day, I feel like doing this way?
Back then it was Xanax, you know what I mean? Xanax and weed, because it got me where I wanted to be fast. I was never a fan of like drinking. Like, I know some dudes could drink 30 packs on 30 packs. I never was into the drinking like that. You know what I mean? I don't want to sit there for 4 hours waiting to get a load on. When I take all these pills, I get banged up. And
half an hour.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you realized that it was an actual addiction? Like, yo, I'm actually addicted to Xanax and stuff.
This was years later before I finally, at least I might have been able to admit it, but I wasn't able to accept it. You know what I mean? So I could tell you, like, yeah, there's definitely an issue.
So he's saying what age? I'm thinking when he's like, what age? I'm thinking what happened? Like, what did you encounter where the light bulb went off at? And like, what other things before the light bulb went out that would, it's like, I didn't learn my lesson, and then boom.
So that comes years later. You know what I mean?
We're
That
talking
comes
like
after
5 years or 10?
Yeah, you're talking after a couple jail stays and shit. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, this comes years later, and
Well, drag us through like, you know, some of the rough things you encountered during your addiction days, if you don't mind.
yeah. So first and foremost was this, right? So I was middleman in a pound of weed, right? And some dude actually robbed me by gunpoint. And the worst thing is like, this is a deal I'm making like $100 on, mind you. You know what I mean? It's the worst part of the whole gig. Is like, I'm making like $100 on. This dude robs me. For 6 months, I'm looking for this kid. I can't find him, right? So then I finally find this dude, and me and my brother see him on the bus coming back from a job interview. We went to the job interview like Step Brothers, like the Pam dilemma. You ever seen the movie?
Yeah.
No shit, we ain't get the job, right? So I see this dude get on the bus, and we just go on him right on the bus. Me and my brother beat him up real bad on the bus, and then we go home. All these cops are banging on the door, surrounding us, all this shit, and we don't leave. Then the cops go away. We sneak out the back door to go to my buddy's house. My dad's like, "What the hell did you do now?" You know what I mean?
Wait, so he robbed you, and then y'all beat him up, and he called the cops on you.
Yeah, well, 'cause we beat him up. Like, well, it's the kid that robbed us. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, all right, well, these detectives seem pretty cool. He's like, come back. They told us to get you something to eat. You know what I mean? We're gonna turn yourselves in with them. You know what I mean? And you know, he's like, I'll bail you out. You know what I mean? So we eat. The detectives take us, and they're acting cool as shit with us, right? They take us upstairs from the cell. They're like, hey, just tell us what happened. Now, we didn't want to tell them the dude robbed us for a pound of weed. So we tell them, like, oh, yeah, this guy robbed us for some money we were supposed to go to Florida with. So when we see him on the bus, we beat him up. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Well, later on, I ended up getting 2 years probation for that. It was like assault and something else.
So how old were you at the time?
I was like either just turning 18, not even. You
So
know
you're
what
an
I mean?
adult. They charged you as an adult.
Yeah.
And you took a deal for probation.
Took a deal for probation, 2 years. And when we got on the probation, like, I didn't understand how serious probation was. I'm going down there dropping hot orange for weed and, you know, all this shit, you know what I mean? So, and then I catch another little case. When I catch the other little case, I go report to the PO, and you hear the door buzz behind you.
Yeah.
And it's the sheriffs, they lock me up. So now, I'd never been to jail before. I went to the district when I caught that case, but I'd never been to jail before. So now I'm an 18-year-old white kid from the Northeast. If you ask me, I was the toughest guy in my neighborhood, you know what I mean? But I found out many times that I was not. You know what I mean? So anyways, I get locked up, and I'm in jail, right? So now my best friend ended up telling on me.
For this second case.
Yeah, so then 29 days in to jail, I get this 2 letters, right? One got a yellow sticker on it that says return to sender. It's from the girl that I was with at the time. And then another letter is the letter from the girl saying, hey, listen, this ain't working out. So I'm on the gate with baby powder all on me, trying to smell good for the visits. 29 days in. This is the love of my life. I'm 18 years old, you know what I mean? And best friend told on me, this girl leaves me. I call home like, yo, this guy got a lawyer. He's home on house arrest. My dad's like, this guy's an asshole. He's like, you got yourself into something you got to get yourself out of. So I end up signing a deal. I go to see the back judge, and she gives me a 1 or 2 upstate.
Dang,
All right,
first
Joe,
time going.
I want to say, like, so you're dealing with a heartbreak, because that's what it is. Like, you're young, and even when you're old and females are stressful in jail.
Yeah, when you're 18 years old, you think that's your end-all, be-all. You know what I mean?
and
Your
then-
first love, you know?
And then, like, you expect this person to ride for you. Like, it means so much if she rides
Yeah.
this out with me. And then, like, your best friend's telling on you.
And let me tell
And
you
then
how
someone
let
else
me
got
tell you
house
how
arrest.
let me tell you how tight I was with this dude, right? I caught my twin brother in bed with his girl. I turned on my own twin brother for this dude. He's like, what you gonna do, tell on me? I said, nah, you tell him, you know what I mean? He ended up, my brother was like, yeah, matter of fact, me and her, whatever. They're like in the middle of the street fist fight, my brother and this dude. You know what I mean? Not that I got in no type of way, but I sided with my buddy because I felt like it was morally wrong that he was in bed with his girl. My brother was always that way with women, though. He was wild.
Yeah. Damn, so
So
you're-
this is your first time going to prison?
First
What
time
for,
ever
man?
in jail. You know, and I'm in there,
you hate the world right now.
hate the world. Yo, I feel like, and, you know, like, look, man, I'm going to say this, like, don't know if you're supposed to say this on camera or whatever, but the way I felt
Whatever.
at the time was, like, I wanted to kill this dude for telling on me, right? And the thing is that, but not for 1 second that I look at my actions, that I look at like, yo, it was the drugs and alcohol that had me this way. You know what I'm saying? Like, not for 1 second, you know what I mean?
But you were 29 days sober, right? This is like your first stint sober, or were
Yes.
you using in jail too?
Nah, so this time in jail, I'm an 18-year-old kid. I don't know nothing about making no moves in there, none of that shit. So I actually ended up going away for a total of 28 months. When I got the 1 or 2, I went to Greatest for Camp Hill, and then I ended up at Monohoy. And but the whole time I was away, they didn't count my county time. I ended up like 28 months away, and I stayed sober the whole time. It was the first time in my life since I was 12 years old that I didn't have no drugs, no alcohol, no nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The girl ended up coming back though. She wrote some letters. She came back around,
She knew you were coming home soon. That's how,
So,
that's how it
it
is.
is.
So
You gonna have that glow. You ain't shining on me.
So, and I was in the best shape of my life too. I probably use like a little 28-month bit right now to get in shape.
No,
Lil'
Joe,
too.
no, Joe.
Take a little weed.
No,
Yo, I was in the
we're not
best-
going
You need a
back, Joe.
codeine?
Yeah.
No, we're not going back, Joe.
Yo, I was in the best shape ever though, man. You're like, really, but still not looking at my actions. Like I thought, like, I don't know. So I'm gonna say this: when I got out, I paroled to my parents' house, right? So I go to my parents' house, and back then, like, you know, you had a curfew. The PO calls you. He called me the one time. He's like, "Yeah, I'm out front of your house. Poke your head out the front door." I'm like, "Is this dude serious?" You know what I mean? I looked, and he waved out his car. He was really there. You know what I mean? I was like, "Oh, all right." You know, but when I came home, see, let me back up. While I was away, I went away from 03 to 06. While I was away, my twin brother got shot in a drug deal going bad at F in the Boulevard. These dudes trying to rob him. My brother trying to take the gun on some stupid shit and ended up getting shot in the stomach. And when he got shot, when I went away, like I was saying, it was all sociably acceptable drugs and alcohol. It was pills and weed and, you know, drinking at the bar, like this sort of thing. It wasn't like, when I went away, it turned into oxy season in the Northeast. You know what I mean? Everybody's on oxys and they're all messed up. You know what I mean? So my brother got shot. He's so now he's getting prescribed anything he wants because he's still got a bullet in his back. And you know, as he's getting prescribed all this shit, like I come home and the whole neighborhood's flipped out on pain pills. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and
06, right?
06, the whole neighborhood's flipped out on pain pills. Now, I thought that I was going to drink vodka and orange juice on Fridays and Saturday nights because I got the PO and I got a piss test and all that. It wasn't that way. I drank vodka and orange juice one Friday, one Saturday. Then it was Tuesday, and I smoked my first joint again.
And you're working at the time?
So yeah,
Roofing?
my dad put me right back to work with him. You know what I mean? So I'm back working with him, roofing again. And then me and him got into some shit, you know, because working with family's tough, and my dad was sick of my shit, you know. But he always provided a place for me to go to. He provided me with a job till I messed it up. You know what I mean? And then I ended up working for another company, like maybe 6 months out, and I got in an accident actually out front of Pick on State Road.
Were you still living with him even though you weren't working? with
Nah,
him?
so we ended up getting a little apartment. I started to do a little bit of side work and shit, and so I got in an accident. I was working for another company. I had a little like apartment thing, you know what I mean, and got in this accident, and I had a kettle on the back, full steak body, like middle of State Road. This dude like seemed like he gave up on life and just came over in the lane. But I was legit. I had a license. I was working every day for this company, and so when I
Were you on the books?
no,
Yeah.
but when I got in the accident, they ended up setting it up. So I got a paycheck I got $1,500 every 2 weeks for 6 months, and then they gave me a lawsuit at the end for like $18,500 or something. And that's when I started Big Joe's Roofing the first time. Now it wasn't like a business, like I said before. It was like a truck and a magnet.
So what year was this, Big Joe? My fault.
Like 06.
06.
Yeah, like 06 when
First
I came
time the
home.
world hears about Big Joe's Roofing.
The first time the world hears about Big Joe's Roofing, but I wish they didn't because I got a couple bad reviews from back then. But
You weren't ready to start a roofing company. You
no,
just took that
but
leap,
I
though,
was just hustling.
and you had the money.
You know what I mean? I was just hustling. I went and bought the truck. You know what I mean? And
You knew the work.
yeah, I knew the work. So I've been roofing my whole life on and off. You know what I mean? So whatever, man. So we do it, and then you know, I start the Big Joe's Roofing, and I'm hustling. You know what I mean? Like back then, though. See, this is my dad messes with me today. He's like, yeah, you got this big company and shit now. He's like, because you walked into this whole Facebook world. He's like, back then we had to take an ad out in the paper. You had to know the realtors. You had to, you know what I mean?
Door knocking, door hangers.
Yeah, we did flyers, man. I would pick neighborhoods that I wanted to work in that had easy roofs, and I would go hang flyers out in that neighborhood. And the work would come back, believe it or not. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't, like, killing it, but I was like I would have a guy or two with me. We'd work a few days a week, you know what I mean? And I was doing better than I ever did, you know? So, whatever, man.
Were
like,
you using it this time when you just...
yeah, so that's the thing. I'm a maniac. Because now I got plenty of money. I see a drop of rain on the windshield. I'm shooting AC for the day. I'm working 2 different doctors, you know what I mean? I'm right in the mix with everybody else, you know what I mean? Like, at this point, though, I'm still not bananas. I'm just crazy. You know what I mean? Like, so...
Do you get bananas?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 90 of them every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So you know, I'm right in the mix with everybody else, and I'm still half-ass middleman and shit the way I have been my whole life. You know, always sold weed. It was like standard issue. Like, get a job and sell weed. That's how you get ahead in life. You know what I mean? And so we're doing that, man, and like this goes on for a while.
While you're on parole still, too?
Yes.
And you violated? You were
No,
getting
you
in
know what? I
trouble?
actually maxed out. I only had like 4 or 5 months left when I left. My buddy, some dude I grew up with, he's like, dude, you only got 4 or 5 months left. You might as well just stay. I'm like, what?
For what?
Yeah. Like, so I only had like 4 or 5 months left. So anyways, you know, I ended up getting off parole, but it didn't take me long to get back in the jackpot. You know what I mean? So I'm half-ass hustling. I'm selling the roof in, you know what I mean? And, you know, I'm going through spurts, but I'm barely hanging on. You know what I mean? The girl ends up getting pregnant. And at this point,
Is that the girl that you were originally with from
my first
18?
kid's mom, yeah. So she gets pregnant, and we have a son together. When we have the son, she goes home with my kid in the car, and her mom finds like a bunch of coke in the back seat and shit. And after that, she ended up going to stay at home, and she never came back. My house basically turned into a crack house, and I ended up in my first detox, 2008.
And how old were you around this time?
Like 23.
23. Okay.
So 2008, I end up in Mercy Detox. I go to Mercy Detox, and you know, I go to the recovery house at Frankfurt and Willard afterwards. And when I go there, I get 30 days sober. First time
Since you were
before I
locked up,
came home. You know what I mean? I get 30 days sober, and I tell the guy who's running the place, I said, yo, my whole family's going down the shores 4th of July weekend. I'm going. You know what I mean? He said, oh, you ain't ready. I said, all right, well, this $120 rent and food club money I'm supposed to give you tells me I'm ready.
Yeah. So how did you get introduced into the other, like the harder drugs now? Like, was it like at a party, or was it somebody specific that said, yo, you should try this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very quickly, you run out of money. You know what I mean? So now you find this thing that you give $10 and you know, you reach oblivion, as they say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
$10 gets me mangled now. You know,
Yeah.
that don't last long. Then you could have 1,000 a day, and it just don't work no more. But yeah, $10 gets me to that point. So I go down the shore that weekend. I get kicked out of the recovery house. I stayed sober though. I didn't drink or nothing yet. But I go down the shore that weekend.
You got kicked out for leaving when they told you not to?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I wasn't not going. My brother's down there. My cousin's going down. You know what I mean? We're all going down to that campground I was telling you guys about. You know what I mean? We go down to this campground, and it was just a really good vibe. That's actually where I met my wife.
Okay.
And
That 4th of July?
That 4th of July.
Well, lucky you fucking didn't listen to them.
So that was actually our first. That's our anniversary. You know what I mean? 4th of July. You know. So I hook up with my wife, and it was crazy because we were all working as doctor in the Northeast, and like her dad was on the news for like busting a doctor. Her dad was a narcotics cop. You know what I mean? And she's like busted on me about it. You know what I mean? And whatever. I ended up hooking up with her that night, and I've been with her literally ever since. You know what I mean? But when I hooked up with her, within 3 months, she's pregnant, and I'm in Bucks County Prison. You know what I mean? I get locked up again on a warrant, and I go to jail.
What you locked up for?
So that time, I had a road rage case. So I was in traffic on Street Road picking up my first kid's mom from work, and these 2 kids, like they wasn't going nowhere. They didn't let me through. Mind you, I'm all perked up, running around all crazy, and I was like, yo, you couldn't let me turn? You know what I mean? Kid just waved his hands
That's
like
an
this.
actual charge? Road rage?
Well, when you jump out the car and put your hand through it.
No, I didn't know if it was an actual, like...
Nah.
So you had, like, an aggravated assault, terroristic
Well,
threats?
it was like a simple assault thing, but then I go to court. So I didn't know, though, because, you know, I'm like this. I heard your thing a little bit. So no cops stopped me. I put my hand through the window. I yelled at the kid, whatever. No cops never stopped me. Nothing ever came of it. So I didn't think it was, like, nothing. 2 weeks later, my first kid's mom sees a picture of my brother in the paper up in Bucks County saying simple assault, terroristic threats, and all this shit, right? Yeah. So my brother's upstate at the time. He calls me. He's like, yo, I was like, yo, somebody's up Bucks County wilding out using your name. You know? he's like, what? He's like, somebody, huh? I was like, dude, I ain't getting no trouble or nothing. You know what I mean? I didn't even think twice about it, you know? And anyways, come to find out, I run a stop sign. I get locked up. They pull me into court. I bail out. I go to court for it. They show me a picture of my brother. I'm like, that ain't me. You know what I mean? They're like, well, who is it? Because it looks a lot like you. I was like, I'm saying that's my twin brother. I said, but I don't know much about much, but that's reasonable doubt, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I turned into a lawyer real quick, right? But anyways, they ended up giving me 18 months non-reporting probation. And then I got caught up there with a stolen license plate on my car. I got a case for that. And I got caught up there on the retail theft, and I got a case for that. And it took me forever. For 10 years, I would go back and forth to Bucks County Prison yearly. And then I would do Philly Prison yearly as well.
For what? Like just violations? And...
Retail thefts, violations, probation violations. Because here's what happens. When you're addicted to drugs and alcohol, at least for me, this is how I do the PO. I go the first time. I tell him it was hot from jail. Second time, I tell him I'm going to clean up. He says, yo, if you come back a third time with a hot urine, you ain't going home.
And you hit the road.
I don't go the third time because it's like, why'd you say that to me? You know what I mean? Now I'm not going to come here, you know? And that's what happened. You know what I mean? And the girl ends up having a baby, and, you know, this cycle just goes on and on, man.
Yeah.
So, like, my dad would always let me come in the basement and put me back on the roof and shit. But after, like, 2-3 times, he's like, yo, man, you can't come back. No.
So when you were doing your little stints coming home, where were you going after that? Like,
So for the first few times, my dad would still let me come back. And then he wouldn't let me come back no more. Mind you, at this point, my twin brother's got 4 baby moms. He's got a crazy drug habit. He's got 9 kids living over there at the house. He can't have Uncle Smokey getting out of jail every other weekend, sleeping on the couch. You know what I mean? Well, that's exactly what I was. I remember watching this comedy thing one time, and this dude was like, these kids need $40 to go on these rides. And the uncle was like, you know what kind of ride I could have went on for $40? You know what I mean?
We all grew up with Uncle Smokey, though.
Yeah, I was him, you know what I mean? And,
that was one thing, like, for me growing up that I never wanted to be that Uncle Smokey coming to sleep on the couch. Like, I never wanted to
crazy, man.
be that type of image to my nieces and nephews, because I had an uncle that was Uncle Smokey.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's
Everyone
like,
got Uncle Smokey.
but, you know, my brother was like, whenever I get out, I'm good for 1 or 2 days there. You know what I mean? That's it. Now, I couldn't stay at my girl's family's house, obviously, because of whatever. So I end up homeless in Kensington. Like, there's this lady started this thing called Angels in Motion or whatever. Her son, Drew, I seen him panhandling at McDonald's on Aramingo Avenue. And he's like, I was like, yo, whatever. I start talking to him, and I got nowhere to go, you know what I mean? And I'm ripping and running in Kensington, and he's like, well, come on with me. And there was where that Chase Bank is, at Aramingo and Venango right here, whatever. So that used to be like the old Club Rhythm or whatever. You know what I mean?
After hours, right?
Yeah. So they had that shit set up in there. King size bed in there. Like, all the shit was up on the second floor, and it was only like 2 dudes that knew about it.
For
you know
homeless?
what I mean? Yeah. Well, it wasn't like for homeless. It was like, dude was homeless and he set it up. You know what I mean? Like, so then he took me over there. So then I started crashing there. I would crash there at night. Then during the day, I'm down the way, and I'm in the mix with all the shit that comes with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And how long did this last for?
Like 5, almost 6 years. But let me just say this. I didn't wake up in this factory every day for 5, 6 years. Like, there was a point where my girl's family let me stay there for like 6 months. One time when I got out of jail,
You fucked it up.
I fucked it up. But I ended up, I did pretty good for a little while. Like, I was working every day. I was on subs, and I would get high when I could, but I was managing, you know what I mean, up in Roxborough. And I ended up getting a little apartment up there and doing the deal up there for a little bit. But then, of course, I showed up the way I show up every time. I messed it all up. And, you know, I ended up back in jail, and then I ended back in the street. And, you know, I got all the bullshit that comes with that, too. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when you're ripping and running the streets like that, like, you know, I got to the point to where I would have to meet my kids' moms at, like, Burger King playlands to see the kids, and parks and places like this, like free places where you can meet your kid's mom to see your kid, you know what I mean?
Where there was someone there to supervise, or if anything happened.
Well, no, it wasn't like that. Like, it's just like, we ain't got nowhere else to go, you know what I mean? I can't go to your house, but they, like, because here's the deal. No matter how messed up I was, I always wanted to be there for my kids, you know what I mean? And I would have little stints, like I would catch a couple weeks here and there where I would get a little job, or I'd be staying with somebody, but it was very, very rare, and primarily.
What did your day-to-day life look like when you were like sleeping in the factory or whatever? Like,
So I stayed on Aramingo Avenue in the factory because I needed to be close to the stores, because I got to hustle up my first 10 or 20 bucks. So then I guess it was Pathmark, was it, on Aramingo Avenue? It used to be a Pathmark, or wasn't a ShopRite. It was a
Pathmark, yeah.
Super Fresh or a Pathmark or something.
Yeah.
So I would go in there, hit them for something small, just enough to get me going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then I go down there, I grab one or two to get me going, and then I would jump on the bus, Franklin Mills, you know, somewhere like this.
And this is where you were catching like retail theft cases and stuff
retail
from
thefts
this. Yeah.
and bullshit, you know what I mean? And, you know, this is all everything that comes with that life, you know what I mean? And then I got a bunch of dummy cases. I'm standing there at Beaumont and Cambria. You're collecting the money while I'm standing there with the shit. So when the cops roll up, I get locked up 3 times in 3 weeks standing there.
For possession.
For possession.
Simple possession, yeah.
Now the first time first time I got ROR where I got out on my own. Second time my girl bails me out for $500. So then I get another $500 bail, and nobody's bailing me out. I'm that dude now. That $500 bail dude. Like, dude, when you sit there with a $500 bail, it lets you know exactly where you're at in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so every time I would get out though, my girl's dad would always give me a shot. For him being like a narcotics guy, like he would see my brother down the way, he'd see me down the way, you know what I mean? And but he would always give me a shot, like a fair shake. Now, bringing you up to like 2015, like August of 2015, I talked my girl at the time, my now wife, into taking me to the store. I steal a bunch of shit. I leave some in her car. I'm already on the bus down the way, and she gets pulled over and arrested in front of my daughter. Mind you, she's got to now call her dad, who's like a DEA guy at this point, who's probably mortified and so embarrassed that his daughter's in this position because of me. You know what I mean? And anyway, she gets out of that. All them charges are taken off of her, put on to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As it should.
As they should, 100%. And she was so funny, though. I messed with her still. I'm like, all right, Don Corduroy, like, chill out. You know what I mean? You got your little retail theft case with your pants and shit. You know what I mean? And
Bonnie and Clyde.
yeah, I messed with her so bad. She's like, you were supposed to come turn yourself in and tell them it was you. I was like, it'd be 2 dumbasses in there. You know what I mean? And
So this is the big question. When did the light bulb go off? When was enough enough?
How old were you?
so I'm gonna break it down for you right now. Once that happened, I didn't see my wife for like 2 months. I seen her like right before I went away. October that year, I get locked up, or maybe it was like September, I get locked up, right? I go to jail. Mind you, the first time I went to jail when I was 18 years old, like I said, I thought I was the toughest dude in the neighborhood. I'm sitting on the edge of the bench, fist clenched. I'm ready for whatever comes my way. You know what I mean? All causes. By this last time I went to jail, I was the guy underneath the bench when they're calling names. You gotta wake them up. Yo, is this you? You know what I mean? I turned into that guy. You know what I mean? So I get locked up and I'm bankrupt on every level that a man could be bankrupt. Spiritually, emotionally, physically malnourished. I was 180 pounds. I'm 340 right now. You can imagine what I look like. You know what I mean? I literally wanted.
Frankie.
Yeah, I look even smaller than Frankie. Frankie's husky
40.
compared to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so whatever, man. Like, I go to jail and I'm bankrupt on every level, right? When I go to jail, I call my wife wrote out for me every single time. Like, I have to say that on this thing. Like, she wrote out for me every single time. You know what I mean? So I call her. The first time I went to jail, I was like, yo, I need some money on my books, this and that. She was so green. She's like, you want me to send you books? I was like, no. Like, I need a Western Union. I need like a JPay. You know what I mean? By this last time I went to jail, she's like, I know. You're in CFCF. You'll be in D.C. in 3 days. You have a Gag 9 hearing coming up, and you need a Western Union and money on your books, right? I kind of looked at the phone like, yes, that is exactly what I need. You know what I mean? But I told her, I said, yo, like literally tears in my eyes. I'm like, yo, I'm telling you, it's gonna be different. You know what I mean? Like I'm done.
Why? What made you feel like?
I was beat down. Like, yo, it was either die or start doing something. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't even do it no more. Like, dude, I had blisters on my feet and the ball of my foot like this from running the streets. I literally would walk the rubber off the sneakers. I would stop and shove cardboard in there so my bare foot wouldn't hit the ground. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Mind you, I would go to J.C. Penney's and I would take trash bags in there and steal boxes of brand new sneakers. Wouldn't even put a pair on because I sold them all in the corner. You know what I mean? Like, wild shit. So I go to jail and I swear it's over. I sit in jail for maybe 3 months, not even. And the whole time I'm in jail, I'm getting high. The last time I drank a drug was December 22nd, 2015. Some guy was dying of cancer in the infirmary ward. He sent me down his dying pain medication. I sent him all my commissary. December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas, I get out of jail like I had a million times before. My twin brother, he lives like literally right around the corner from the prison. He's always the first stop. You know what I mean? Not that he's gonna give me shit, but
See some family, yeah.
yeah,
See
he's
some,
always the first stop. So I go there, like he's in the middle of doing whatever he's doing. You know what I mean? And I was like, damn, dog, like.
But how did you know, like, if you're still actively using in there, how did you know when you get out it's going to be different? Because, like, you
So
couldn't stop in there when it's not even accessible as it is out here.
I honestly didn't, dude. If I'm being honest, I honestly didn't, man. Like, so when I get out, though, I go to my brother's house. He's in the middle of getting it in. And for the first time in my life, though, I look at this situation. I'm like, damn. My first thought's like, save me some. You know what I mean? And my second thought is like, damn, dude. If I do this right now, it's just gonna set this whole ball of wax right back in motion and shit. Like, I was like, yo, man, I'm going to a meeting. He's like, all right, hold up. You know, he finished what he was doing. He walked me around at a meeting. I didn't know where it was at. So I got out of jail at 10 a.m. in the morning. I was at the 12 noon meeting. I've been sober ever since that day.
Well, congratulations, first off.
Absolutely.
And the discipline it took to say no was probably one of the hardest decisions you
Frank,
made.
there was no discipline at all. There was no discipline. That was God, man. That was God did that for me. That was God doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. There was no discipline. For the first time in my life, I just seen something for what it was worth. It was a moment of clarity, divine intervention. I don't know what you want to call it. But for the first time in my life, I was like, damn, like I cannot do this right now. You know what I mean? Like I gotta give myself half a shot. You know what I mean? I went to this meeting. It's 2 days before Christmas. My wife's family don't want her seeing me. She got my daughter. My other baby mom's like, yo, if you're doing good, you come by anytime, come see him. Like, they knew I wanted to be a good dude. I wanted to be a good dad. Like, none of them ever took me to court or none of that shit. You know what I mean? And, you know, so when I got out, it's like 2 days before Christmas. I stayed at my brother's house. My brother's like, yo, man, you're good till Christmas. You know what I mean? You can hang for like 2-3 days. You know what I mean? So anyways, I go to these meetings. And you know, whatever, I meet up with these guys and they start telling me like, yo, come back tomorrow. I go back the next day. I get past Christmas and then I get in the recovery house and I don't know, man, like I get in the recovery house and I start working again. You know what I mean? I get back on the roof, you know, everything's new to me again. I've been living on the streets for 5 years. So just being able to like have money for a pack of smokes and a pizza, I'm like the most grateful dude in the world because, you know, I'm eating again, you know what I mean? Then I get to start seeing my kids. Then I start working, you know what I mean?
Them things that you took for granted that you have now, you appreciate a lot more.
Oh my God, it was nuts, you know what I mean?
Just having money in your pocket or...
Dude, it was like 2 weeks in, I started working and then like, you know, things just kind of took off, man. Like my twin brother ended up coming in. He got sober, you know what I mean? And you know, it
Where
was
were you
good.
working at now? Roofing again?
So roofing again, you know what I mean? My dad offered me to come back. I did not go back with my dad though. You know what I mean? Just because I know what comes with that and whatever. So I ended up working. I called a couple days and then my buddy got me a job literally right around the corner from here. I was working at a company called Roofworks. You know, so I got in with them guys and then I ended up staying sober for a little while. I ended up getting in with Rob Nafi Roofing, and then I started working with him. I was like the 7th guy. He's like, yo, I can't guarantee you every day. He's like, but then after like 6 months, I was like...
Consistent.
I was the main guy, you know what I mean? My wife got pregnant again, you know what I mean? And but I'm gonna tell you what happened the last time I had, because when I got sober, it wasn't easy though, you know what I mean? Like, but in 70 days sober, I wanted to drink and use, right? And this guy says, yo, man, maybe you should come to the meeting with me. I go to the meeting with this guy at 70 days sober, and I end up meeting this other guy, Eddie Mays, and I meet him, and then, you know, I start meeting this guy, Pete the Clown. He got a house that was a recovery house for like 20 years, right?
Pete the what?
Pete the Clown.
Oh, yeah.
So I meet this guy, Pete, and everybody got a nickname in the program. Everybody got a nickname. So so I meet him, and he needs help fixing his roof. I go there 6 months sober to help him fix the roof. And he's like, yo, man, this place is a recovery house for 20 years. We helped a ton of guys. And I'm like, yo, I'll help you make this a recovery house again. At this point, I'm so embedded. I go multiple times a day to the meeting. I'm like, everything's new to me, man. I'm just happy to be here. You know what I mean? And, you know, so anyways, the dude calls me 2 weeks later. He says, Joe, I was thinking about it. He said, I'm gonna rent you this house for $1,000 a month. It's a big 5-bedroom. He said, you gotta get it cleaned up, get the TVs and the beds in there. He said, you gotta get the people out of there. He's like, but you know, we're gonna help you get this into a recovery house. You know what I mean? So I ended up like, I'm living in a sober house up the street, 6 months sober, and the dude calls me about this recovery house, and I take my boys down there the next day. I'm like, yo, what's up? It's Longshore and Tarsdale, so it's kind of a hood block, you know what I mean? And whatever, man. Like, I ended up, took them down there. It was like a crack house at the time. We cleaned everything out, got it all hooked up. We called it Against All Odds. Our slogan was that we welcome the long shot. You know what I mean? And for like a year and a half, we stayed open. And
So you just had to live there and make sure the rent was paid, but you were like managing the house and the people that were coming in.
nah, I didn't live there actually.
Oh, you didn't?
I lived in a sober house up the street, and so we made a deal. The deal was that he gave me 5 years to buy it. $60,000 he wanted for the property, a big 5-bedroom, and but none of the rent went toward the purchase. You know what I mean? So. But the recovery house put me on the map financially. Mind you, I'm working for this guy, Rob Roofing, and I'm already hustling side work. I got a truck, little magnet like I had before, Big Joe's Roofing again, you know what I mean? And so now I'm hustling side work. Then I start making money with the recovery house. And the recovery house is a double, right? So I love a double. And a double to me is like, not only am I helping people, I'm getting paid to do it. You know what I mean? So when you can do stuff like that, like that's the best kind of hustle.
Yeah, it's
to
a
me, you know?
blessing.
That's the best kind of hustle.
When
So listen, at what time did you say I'm about to go full force with Big Joe's Roofing again? Like it's time to turn the flame back up.
So my twin brother had actually started a company before me. I was hustling side work, but he was selling work for my dad's company.
Okay.
My dad's boss died. So then my brother was like, yo, I got to try to put something together. So he started a company called Gagne and Sons. And he tried to make me a partner. He's like, yo, this is what I want. Like, he made it like a funny thing. He wrote it down on a napkin. He's like, $3,500, paint your truck white, put Gagne and Sons on it. You know what I mean? Like, slid it across the thing. I was like, dude, you don't need me, man. You're already set up. You know what I mean? Plus, I had a different vision. You know what I mean? I was like, you don't need me. You're already set up. You're ready to go. You know what I mean? And so my brother started his company. He's probably in business like 4 months. He had a year sober, and he ended up picking up. And then he ended up passing away.
Damn.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Your twin?
Yeah.
Damn, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
So when he died, I had just came back from Disney World. So I had to try to, you know, help him get paid for the funeral and then try to help his family out, you know what I mean? And I stayed away from work for like a week or two with my boss, and I started hustling his work at first for like the first week or two. And I kind of just was like, yo, I was ready, dude. I was 2 years sober. I was hustling a ton of side work. I had the recovery house going. Like, we were making pretty good money already.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, man, like, let's do it. You know what I mean? So I opened up the Big Joe's Roofing LLC, and then
And how old were you, Joe, at this time? Because I'm going to get back to something else, but how old were you?
so I was 31 when I got sober. I was about 33 when I started the company.
So 33 years old. So there's people that are in their 20s or early 30s or even mid 30s, 40s that you're probably showing an example to, that like you could be homeless, on drugs, come from jail, go through everything you went to and still start a company. And then we'll get it further into your story and your success, but you weren't until your mid 30s basically until you started with this company.
Yeah.
So it's never too late. That's just an example right there.
And the crazy part is like, my whole life I'm going through all this shit, right? And I'm being primed for the position that I'm in now. So follow what I'm saying here. Like, I worked for all these different roofing companies. I learned so much along the way about what I did like, how my boss treated me, what I didn't like. I learned how to do things this way, how to do things that way. Like, I use a box truck because I was on a methadone clinic and I was working for this guy, out of the box truck. And I was like, damn, like, this is a sharp-ass idea. Now, he did, like, a lot of county work and far northeast work and shit, but I'm thinking, like, damn, for, like, torch down roofing and shit, like, you could set everything up
Shop
in there.
on wheels.
Shop on wheels. And when I first started the business, I rented 2 spaces at the storage unit. And then I rented 4 spaces at the storage unit where I would just park the box trucks and they were all set up with everything, all strapped up, you know what I mean? And for 2 years, I worked at a storage unit like that, you know what I mean? And then I got a little dump truck, and then we would use that for all our trash. And then at our 2-year mark, a shop right up the street from the storage unit became available, and we were doing the right thing, rebuilding the credit, you know, putting the money up, and we ended up getting our shop
Where you're at now?
where we're at now, yeah.
That's tough. So how many years it's been now?
So this March will be 7 years in business.
7 years.
Yeah,
And how long in sobriety are you?
9 years. So just celebrated 9 years, December 23rd.
Congrats again, man. It's a big achievement. That's probably a bigger achievement than your business, because if there was no sobriety, there would be no Big Joe's Roofing again.
So it's funny, because, you know, like I said before I came in, I was watching you guys' stuff a little bit, and you talked about, like, your natural order of life, right? So my natural order of life is A, the program, B, God, then work, then family. You know what I mean?
Well, he didn't talk about everything though. He skipped the stripping part. But go ahead.
I'm about to go back to stripping.
Yo, so, but the thing is like, when you say that order to people, they're like, hold up, the program, God, work, and then your family, and it's like, that order don't seem right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, it's like this. Without that program, I'm nothing, you know what I mean? I'm back down here doing what I'm doing. I need God to get through my days, and I need to act accordingly, you know what I mean? Then of course I need the work, you know what I mean? I'm the sole provider in my household. Like my wife works for the business, but she'll tell you that she doesn't. She quits 3 times a week, she gets fired 4 times a week. But you know, and then I need to do all them things in order to take care of my family, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is most important, obviously.
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
Yeah, so, and then you started some other ventures, your own halfway houses? No?
So yeah, so the initial one was called Against All Odds. The slogan was that we welcome the long shot, and we had that going for like a year and a half, and then like, see what happened was the roofing started to take off, right? Like in the beginning, let me just be clear, like I wasn't like, hey, I want to do this just to be a great guy. There was definitely like, yo, I can make some money at this, you know what I mean? But the intention was always there to help too. You know what I mean? So I always wanted to be helpful, but I did want to make some money while I was doing it. But the moral stamina was there. If you drink or use, you get high, you're out. You got to go. Point blank, period. After about a year, though, these are all dudes I grew up with. These are all dudes I've been to jail with. These are dudes I ran the street with who are living in a recovery house. A guy I known since I was friggin' 10, 12 years old tells me, Joe, I messed up, man. I got high. It's February 3rd. It's 10 degrees out, 10 o'clock at night. I got to kick this dude out. You know what I mean? I got to kick this dude out. And it's like, what happened was I lost the moral stamina. My buddy calls it moral stamina. You know what I mean? As much as the rules mattered, like, yo, my heart was in it. You know what I mean? I don't want to kick this dude out. I've known him my whole life. It's friggin' 0 below out. You know what I mean? And whatever. So I ended up selling the house. Well, along the way, I bought the house. He gave me 5 years to do it. We did it in 2. You know what I mean? We ended up buying the house cash outright. And what's crazy is just skipping over that real quick. When I went to go buy the house, I went to this title company and I seen this guy who used to bring meetings into the rehab that I would go to. Turns out he's the mortgage lender. He's like, what are you doing here? I said, I'm buying a house. He said, well, where'd you get the money from? I was like, well, it's a cash deal. He said, well, if you ever need money for a house, let me know. Now, mind you, I had talked to some people. I was trying to buy a personal house at this time because I'm like still living in an apartment, stacking my money. I bought this place first.
Yeah.
And then, you know, nobody would mess with me because I was only a year in business. This guy told me, he said, you know, he said, let me know how much you want to get and how much you're claiming on your taxes. He said, we'll make it work.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Sure enough, I claimed, you know, what I told him I was going to claim. He got me approved for like 3-something. We bought a house up in Croydon. And you know, it was crazy because I went there. It's just crazy the way that things work out, man.
Everything
Like,
fell in place for you. It was like a
I got-
snowball effect.
You know what? Like, honestly, man, like, I went there to fix that guy's roof at that recovery house originally. I went there just to help that dude. I did not go there looking to get his house or nothing like that. But I ended up in the right place, the right time, and I was responsible, I was sober, and I was able to capitalize on those opportunities. You know what I mean? And the recovery house kind of put me on the map financially. You know what I mean? And then when I go to buy the recovery house, you know, to move forward and try to do the right thing, I run into the lender.
Yeah.
The lender puts me on to be like, yo, if you got the roof and it's really going like that, show me this much on the taxes, I'll get you a regular house. Then we move up to Croydon. My wife, we get this house, it's like $360,000 at the time, I guess like 5 years ago, like 2018 or something. The dude's telling me the mortgage is gonna be like $3,200 a month. We're only like a year and a half in business at this point, maybe 2 years. And my wife's like, how the hell are we gonna afford this kind of mortgage? She's freaking out. She's like, you just wanna buy this big house so you can show off. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't wanna show off. I'm like, I want us to live in this nice house. You know what I mean? Like, and the crazy part is like, we're in there, we're loving it. You know what I mean? And the business really takes off, and I get this mentality, like I was saying earlier, like, I don't want that monthly nut. You know what I mean? We ended up refining, and then like, we ended up paying it off pretty fast. You know what I mean? Like, it's paid off now.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And
That's tough, man.
like, to know that the home is there, and like, no matter what happens, like, my family will be secure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, bro, you went from being 5 to 6 years homeless, living on Aramingo Avenue, right, to Big Joe's Roofing, real estate, Shore House.
Oh, so here, but here's what happened. The reason I brought that up was this. So when I went, we moved into this new construction house in Croydon. The Polish guy built the house, right?
Yeah.
It's tugging on my spirit at this point because I sold the initial recovery house, but it's tugging on my spirit. I know God wants me involved in this one way or the other, right? So I talked to this guy. This guy ran a recovery house for like 10, 12 years. And I told him, I said, yo, I know that God wants me involved with running these recovery house or some kind of way involved with it. I said, but I can't do it. You know what I mean? I said, was that something you'd be interested in? And he's like, let's have breakfast. I sit down with dude, I have breakfast with him. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? So now I picked the guy out before I even had the house. We end up finding a house. I went to a meeting. This kid said, yeah, we're selling my grandma's house around the corner. I walked over. I was like, all right, I'll take it. You know what I mean? We got the kid's grandma's house, and it had that lot with it, like I was saying. They subdivided it, got the lot. We ended up getting with the builder. He built us a sober house there. So now we got a recovery house for guys just coming in, you know, and then once guys been there a while, they can go over to the new sober house and then, you know, stay there and do the deal, you know what I mean? So this one's called Turning Point Sober Living, you know what I mean? And, you know, the guy, Mikey, runs it wholeheartedly. I just go there and make meetings, stuff like that. That's it, you know what I mean?
They hold meetings and all in there too.
Yeah, twice a week, you know what I mean? There's mandatory meetings, there's chore lists, there's stuff you got to keep up with. It's the structure that we need, like that I needed coming in the door, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
now,
it's kind of crazy because the two things you're involved in, say the sober living and the roofing, you said like you went through everything with the roofing to know how to do it the right way, to know problems before they happen, to know how a boss treated you. And then with the sober living, right, you went through the steps of recovery, so you know your first 30 days what you need, your first year what you need.
exactly.
And you're able to provide that for other people. You're showing them the way that you got shown.
For sure, for
It's
sure.
too tough.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you
It's
guys,
a double.
it's a double, and it's the best kind of double. You know what I mean? And then, like, you know, the roofing took off. You know what I mean? We did very good financially and stuff, and I'm happy that happened early on because it made me realize what's really important. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I joke with the one guy. I said, "Yo, I want to help 200 people." You know what I mean? I just want to do it from Cadillac Escalade. You know what I'm saying? And like, I don't think that's wrong. Like, I survived my whole life. I barely survived. I don't think it's wrong. Like, I came in here, I got sober because I want to thrive. You know what I mean? I watched people go to the carnival my whole life, and I didn't get to go. You know why? Because I ain't had no damn money to go. You know what I mean? So I want to go to the carnival too. You want to go?
Yeah.
There's nothing.
I'll never turn the funnel quick down here.
There's nothing wrong with you know, trying to secure finances and make sure you're financially stable. Nothing wrong at all. And also, like, how can you help other people if you don't have the means or the resources to do so? And what does money do?
Exactly. It's the easiest way to bless somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the easiest way to bless somebody.
Like, you can't solve problems just by being a good guy. Like, they're not going to go through surgery, or someone's not going to get their rent paid just because you're a polite guy. Like, you know, you have to be able to make sure you're okay first, right? And then what you're doing with that, blessing other people. So that's awesome.
Well, and really, that's what had me take off in business, right? So the principles that I learned in the program, I applied in my business life. Like I joke with people all the time, like they told us in kindergarten how to run business, treat people how you want to be treated. You know what I mean? And then like even as far as like, you know, we talked about this content and stuff beforehand, like, you know, what's crazy is people will pay $2,000 a month to have a billboard on 95. But when you see an opportunity to give somebody something small for free, you don't capitalize on it. For instance, when you call me for some stupid, hey Joe, my roof's leaking, can you come check it out? And I see that the roof's in good condition, but it's got a tennis ball in the drain box. I take the tennis ball out the drain box, and then they say, oh man, thank God, that was all it needed? Yeah, that's all it needed. How much do I owe you? Don't worry about it. You know, easily you could hit them for $200-300, right?
Your service fee, yeah.
Yeah, but then it's called being quarter smart, dollar dumb. You know what I mean? Now, I took that tennis ball out. When was the last time you went somewhere and they did something for you for free? Like, say you went to get your oil change and your brake light was out, and dude was like, yo, man, I threw a free light bulb in your brake light for you. It was out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You would go there every single time for your oil change. You know what I mean? So same type thing with the roof.
And refer people to you as well.
Of course, because they're gonna be like, yo, you believe what this dude did? Because nobody's giving nothing out no more. So, you know, whenever I see an opportunity to give away a little repair, or even if it's something small, like, I'm not interested in that little $200-300. I'm interested in that person.
Knowing that you're a good person, knowing that you provide a good service, knowing that you're not just about the money.
So, and not only that, and like when they do need a roofer, I don't care if it's 5-10 years from now, like call me. Like, you know what's crazy is I was at Alny, right? I'm at Fern Rock Station, I'm driving by, and this lady, I guess she was kind of messing with me. She's like, okay, Big Joe, like she's seen the name on the truck and shit. She's like, give me one of them cars. And I give her one of them cars, and she's like, I got something going on. You know, if you can help me out with it. I go by there, she got like this metal, her shit's shot, right? And I'm like, listen, you need some serious help. She's like, is this something you could do for me right now? I said, yeah, we're gonna try something. So I tie in a couple little things. We're there 15 minutes. And I guess I held off. She's like, look, when I get some money though and I'm ready, she's like, I'm gonna call you. Literally a year later, when I'm telling you work was like kind of slow and I was looking for shit to fill the guys with, this lady calls like, hey, Big Joe, guess what? I'm ready to go. It's like a $7,000 job.
You probably forgot
know what
all
I mean?
about it until then.
Totally forgot about it, but when she said it, she said, remember I was the one messing with you at Fern Rock? I was like, yep, I remember, you know? It's just, it's amazing when you're in that world and you believe that path, you know what I mean? When you plant those seeds along the way, like when they do come back, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
And you
nice.
don't do it because you don't know what it's ever going to come from in anyway, so you can't bank on like, oh, she'll give me a roof, like, or even if you've seen another roofer on her roof, like, okay, like you can't even really be tied to your action and trying to reciprocate something back. You got to do it like wholeheartedly.
Yeah, because it might come in another form anyway. It don't necessarily have to come from that person. God bless you in so many ways. It'll come from.
I'm gonna tell you another one, right? So I don't take like a lot of deposits. Our jobs are pretty much like our main jobs average anywhere like $3 to $6 grand for like a regular row home, stuff like this. So we don't take a lot of deposits like past when we're done, right? Now bigger jobs we'll take them obviously, but we do a job for a guy, and he ends up burning me for like $8 grand, right? Crazy.
Cut the camera. Where's he at?
Yo, so now here's the deal. The program will make you feel like a doormat sometimes because you know you're supposed to live a certain way.
Be the bigger person.
So this dude, not only does he burn me for $8 grand, he talks shit to me on the phone for an hour. They broke a railing, a wrought iron railing that was already broke, but he tried to say we broke it. For the best welder in the city, it's a $200 weld. I said, yo, I had somebody down there in 3 hours to weld it. Nah, I want a whole new railing, $2,200. I said, look, man, you know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? He said, matter of fact, I don't even want to pay that. He said, I'm willing to pay you this. Either take this or don't take no money at all. I told him, I said, yo, keep the money. Literally, because this guy was cool. It was my second job I did for him. I'm literally on my hands and knees praying to God to take this off me. Because you know where your head goes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't care how many times a day you pray or how spiritual you are now. Somebody burns you for $8 grand, you know what I mean? So I'm on my hands and knees and I'm praying to God. The next morning I wake up with like a new attitude, like, yo, there's no way this dude was all right. It's my second time dealing with him. There's no way he's gonna burn me. You know what I mean? Sure enough, I'm thinking he's gonna call me. Never calls. But I'm doing another job that day, right? A shingle job, it's probably like $6,500. The neighbor calls me and says, hey Joe, I mean to get a hold of you. Wouldn't it make sense to do my roof while you're here doing this one? Now, mind you, it's a little short of what the other job was. I said, yeah, absolutely, we'll take care of it. We end up doing that job that day. Now, that dude never paid me that $8,000, and I never seen it, and I never put no lien on his property. I never pursued it. But I felt like that was God's way of saying, like, yo, just because of how you dealt with this, here's this. It's going to tide you over.
Yeah.
Just like hang in there. Now, I've been burnt maybe 3 times. I've been in business 7 years, so that's a pretty good average. You know what I mean? So now, even if that job didn't come from that, I have to believe that it did from my own tightness in my chest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how you gotta look at it, man. And as a business owner too, you deal with so much shit, but then like when the good stuff does come, you're like, okay, this is why it's worth it. Like, or even not even good stuff. It could be good people. When you're interacting with good people, like, yeah, this is a good person. I like working for them. They left a great review.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't like haggle me. They didn't like so. That's what makes it worth it, right? It's like when you get them good ones, when you get them good encounterments, good interactions, and you know when your crew even feels like the customer's taking care of them. Oh, she was awesome to work for. You're like, all right, because it ain't just about you.
Believe it or not, I had like 5 or 6 customers actually text me on Christmas, hey, Merry Christmas and all. I'm like, damn. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when they're texting, I'm thinking first one's Merry Christmas, then it's like, hey, this is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, but not some dude, they just genuinely text me like Merry Christmas. I'm like, damn. Like I said beforehand, like I still take all the calls. You know what I mean? Like it's nuts. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know customers' names, but if you tell me your address, I know it like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Man, that's tough.
Joe, so what and I know your reputation is next to none as far as like, you know, you're committed to excellence, you do good work, you not like, you know, roofers get a bad rap for being, you know, running off with deposits or not coming back. But as far as your reputation, it's golden, it's solid. When you do get those phone calls about things going wrong, which it is, we're human beings, our guys are human
100%,
beings, we're dealing with
100%.
some material defaults or whatever it is. What do you do about it when you first get that initial phone call of like an error or a mistake or?
I'm gonna tell you. So, I'm a homeowner first. I own a home, and just because I got a roofing company does not mean that like I still have to hire guys to do stuff in my house. Air, heat, and air guys. We had a pool put in. I had to deal with pool people. You know, I still got to deal with people. And I remember like the pool people are out there, like they look crazy. The dude's cursing. They're banging me for all these extra charges. And you know what I'm thinking the whole time? I don't ever want one of my customers to feel this way. So if they do have an issue, first thing, you know, I want to right away get emotional. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I can't believe this happened. All right, well, whatever. We'll take care of it. But you can't do that. You got to give these people the satisfaction of like, hey, don't worry about nothing. I'll be out there Monday or Tuesday. We'll take care of it right away. Don't worry about nothing. You know what I mean? At the very least, even if it is something different or something else, at least give them their sense of security. Like, damn, like he's like, no problem. We'll be right there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And, you know, remembering how I don't want to be treated as a homeowner. And I remember saying, like, dude, I bought a brand new Escalade, dude. It had a bad motor in it. 4 days into owning the car. My wife's like, yo, this thing sounds crazy. I'm like, nah, they're supposed to sound like that. She's like, no, something's wrong. You know what I mean? Bad motor in Escalade. They ran me around. They didn't want to take no money off. Oh, we got a new motor coming in. I'm thinking, I don't ever want one of my customers to feel like this.
Yeah.
I always want them to feel like if we did something with you, we got you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A sense of security.
Yeah.
And the next available time to get to fixing the job, you're going to go back and fix it.
So I try to take care of shit right away because I'm a head case. It will sit on me. You know what I mean? And, you know, like, when you're big in social media and Google reviews and stuff like this, it makes you very vulnerable too.
Yeah.
Because now you have 400 good reviews. One of your guys is driving with your name on the truck and cuts somebody off in traffic. Suddenly you get a 1-star review with 2 paragraphs saying about your driving. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
Trust
out of
me,
your
I
control.
know. It's Frankie, man. He goes
It's out of
through
your
it.
control. Yeah, because
Dude.
if you have 20, you say you got 14 guys, you got 20 guys, whatever, 2 guys, it's literally out of your control, and you're putting your business, you know, in the hands of these people that you hire, and they make mistakes. They're human beings too, or their intentions, they aren't thinking about the company's best interest all the time like you are. So you have to be mindful of that.
And you're dealing with multiple personalities as well, too.
Yeah.
And you know, this roofing game takes a certain animal, man. Like, you know, this shit, we base our life around weather and shit, man. You know what I mean?
So
like,
many unforeseen issues, and
it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. And but if I'm being totally honest, man, I am incredibly blessed with the team that's around me. Like, I'm literally kind of just the face of this thing, man. Like, I do a lot of nuts and bolts of the every day-to-day operations. Like, I'm still one of the first guys at the shop every day, you know what I mean, to make sure trucks are getting loaded the right way. I run out and do a lot of estimates and services and stuff, but it's the guys that work with us, you know what I mean, that I do have some guys that have been with me from day one. My wife literally does everything on the back end, from like emailing all the customers, collecting money. She
scheduling jobs.
yeah, like, well, I pretty much do the jobs, you know what I mean? But other than that, she pretty much handles everything. She's like, you know, and that's another thing, dude, is like, I would not be where I'm at today without that support at home. You know what I mean? Like, as much as the program helped me out and everything else, when you got somebody that's riding with you and is 100% there for you, dude, it's like, it gives
can't
you that.
lose.
It gives you that confidence. You know what I mean? Like, that, to go face the world, knowing like, yo, when I report back, I'm gonna have some good news. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So where do you see Big Joe's roofing at in the next 5 years?
So it's crazy. Our mutual buddy Ernie Pace. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? My little buddy there. I'm gonna shout him out. Well, he would not like that if I call him a little buddy. My big buddy Ernie Pace. But you know, he keeps telling me about the content, like we were talking before. You know what I mean? I'm learning, like, with the videos. I've always been on the Facebook, always posted the jobs on the Facebook. Every once in a while, we get together and do a video and all. But you know, like, look, let me start by saying this: is if this is as good as it gets, I'm more blessed than I ever deserve to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, first and foremost. But of course, I want to grow, man. I want to get into more real estate. Like, I want to use this roofing vessel and this finances that we acquire from the roofing to purchase enough property to build that portfolio, to keep that 15, 20 a month coming in, so that way you can keep up with the lifestyle, you know what I mean? And nothing has to change when I wake up one morning and say, you know what? I think I'm done with this roofing shit.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what's up, man.
What so you were at some pretty low points, right? You were homeless, in jail, and lost your girl. But that feels like the world's over when that happens.
Oh, yeah.
Heartbreaking. On top of many other things, right? What advice would you give to somebody that's at their lowest, that thinks like it's over and they have no shot? What is some advice? You could take some time to think about it, but what would you tell them if they were right in front of you, with the back of their souls missing and cardboard in the back?
The best thing I could tell you is, like, you don't see it now, but these rock bottom levels turn out to be the firm bedrock upon which happy and purposeful lives are built. And that's what it says in the literature, man. Like, for somebody like us, dude, when we end up in these real dark places like that, when you get clean and sober and you get your shit together, the sun shines just a little brighter on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you come out of that. And, like, I don't know what happens in church on Sunday morning, but I know that when you come to this program, you have an absolute shot to rebuild those relationships. You have an absolute shot to, like, have that life again. You know what I mean? And, like, people like us are very resourceful, where, you know, I got this mechanism in my brain that when it locks in, it locks in. You know what I mean? And that's really helped me. That turned out to be my biggest blessing. That's how we were able to move ahead so quickly in business. But it can also be a curse, man, if it's not harnessed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but that if I can do it, you can 100% do it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because there wasn't, when you were getting high, there wasn't a day that went by that you didn't, right?
Nah, every
Because you
single
figured
day.
it out. And then now it's like when you go into business, or if you even go into, you know, developing the right habits, the right lifestyle, it's still there. It's just what
100%.
you're directing it to.
100%.
This is a great interview, man.
Yeah. So it's crazy because I feel like you're just filled with, like, gratitude and appreciation now for where you're at. And if you didn't fall to rock bottom, you wouldn't have that appreciation.
So let me hit you with one more little thing before we wrap this thing up or whatever. So, you know, when we bought the Shore House this year, like, you You know, it's a nice place. You know what I mean? It's got a friggin' elevator in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nice. You know, I thought that there was going to be this moment on that back deck with my morning coffee, like where I had this tear of gratitude running down my face. And don't get me wrong, there was a very grateful moment there, right? But 2 weeks after we got the house, I took my daughter to this Jelly Roll concert. You know Jelly Roll?
Yeah, he put me on.
Yeah.
Yo, so Jelly Roll's the man. Fat guy, hot wife. I got the same story. That's my yo. So I take my
Jelly Roll roofing.
Yeah, yo. So
Big
I
Joe.
take my daughter and I take my son to this Jelly Roll concert, right? And halfway through the concert, the dude's like, he's like, hold on, man. I just want to stop the show for a second, and I just want to tell you, if you're coming out of that lonely, hopeless, dark place that only people like us know, if you're a born loser, he said, and you're putting your life back together, you're putting one foot in front of the other, you're staying clean and sober, taking care of your family. He says, you know, we just want to salute you here tonight. In the middle of him, as he's finished saying that, my daughter looks up at me. She got a little cowboy hat on, and she just squeezed me so hard and hugged me, and it was 10 times as powerful as anything else. If everything I'd done in the last 9 years built me to that moment right there, I'm telling you right now, I was never so proud of my whole life than when my little girl hugged me like that. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
Like, there was nothing that tops
not
that.
even that
you know what I mean?
House.
Not even $1 million joint down the shore. You know what I mean?
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, man. So when you say about success, like, to me, that's success. You know what I'm saying? Like, when your kids love you and want to be around you. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I'm not only proud of you, and I don't know you from a can of paint, but like I'm happy for you right now.
I appreciate
because
that,
like
Frank.
going through all that, and it's not the money, it's not the material things. Your daughter hugging you, and you got that you know that moment you get. It's like I made it, and that was your moment.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Appreciate you coming on, Joe.
Yo, thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Streets of Success.